before 7:30. How long are we gonna go? Just out of curiosity.
Around 7:40, Bob. I want to be respectful of your time.
Okay, appreciate that.
We are live. Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio, place for knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Born a Lot. And let me do this with the camera because y'all did not come to see me. Okay. This is what dedication looks like. This is what a commitment to the restoration of the African family looks like. A dedication to African sovereignty, a true definition of African nationalism and familyhood. When you see these warriors that are assembled here today, I'm humbled for a few reasons. And one is this is the first time on this platform that we got Bob and Mama Yaa together on camera. We've been together before via audio, so every time we come together, it's a first and something that is transformational. So let's put our African hands together and get our minds and hearts prepared to receive our new African royal family, Bob and Mwalimu Baruti and Mama Yaa of Akoben House and Akoben Institute. Abibi Fahodie, welcome to the platform.
Abibi Fahodie.
You know, we've known you for quite a while as well, and we know the seriousness of what you do in your work. That makes it a lot easier to be on here with you because the respect goes both ways. And I was the other day, and we've talked before about the importance of warriors who are behind us only because they're younger, and the motivation, the invigoration that comes from that, knowing that folks are in the process. Enemies wanted to die. Process continues.
Sure.
So how have you both been with everything that's been going on in the Euro destruction model that our ancestors are laying out?
Oh, well, hey, nation building work continues. Yeah. We have to adapt to their shenanigans that they're up to right now. Not clear of everything they're planning. We have glimpses. They want mass testing, mass vaccination, forced, a cashless society. They're trying to turn, not that the society was good beforehand, but they want to take it to worse, more control that the police state, but they've been rolling in the police state strong since 9/11. So we're just seeing further manifestations. It's nice to see some of our people are waking up, getting a clue, but we need to be prepared for whatever. Do know you're dealing with enemies, people who hate you, who have since our first meeting, on the continent, 500 years of war against us with their ultimate goal of genocide against us, that what we're seeing now just further steps in that process. So, we need to think intelligently as Africans, not be on Facebook showing whatever, but being clear that this is planned out. But also, I would say some of our people are not taking the virus seriously at all. And we do know people personally who have died. So I think that's the other extreme, to totally dismiss it and not be mindful and try to be protective of our health. But at the same time, we need to think clearly how we plan to survive the madness.
And we need to continue to use this to our advantage.
True.
Not freak out, not panic, but I mean, the internet is opening up in a way it hasn't opened up before. We need to be very careful with the folks that we invite in, because I keep talking about the 60s and 70s and the Black Student Union organizations that were created as a result of physical and mental attacks on Black students. But as soon as white folks said, "Oh, we love you again," we disbanded and ran back to them and these organizations that we have. So it's like I have caution flags up in terms of folks running in this direction. I'm glad. I'm very, very glad. You know, sometimes it takes a slap in the face for folks. Something's not right here. You know, but still, we have to, those of us who do this work have been doing it for a while, very serious about it, know exactly what we're doing, or at least know part of what we're doing, and working very hard at this. And folks, of course, will reach out. You can get overwhelmed easily, but people reach out. We need to be careful that we be cautious so that if white folks do start loving us again, we don't get torn apart when folks run. We have to be, you know, very, very careful about what we're doing. We need to be very, very careful about what's going on in their reality. This isn't new in their minds. They've always been about control, domination. We just don't seem to understand the magnitude of that. You know, many of us are still, and I'll ramble, but many of us are still trying to find a way to get them to. Many of us are still trying to find a way to have them protest with us. And I'm not a person about protest, but the idea to me, well, to me, the idea is ludicrous to be in the presence of a European in the first place. But the idea is ridiculous that you're going to have the destroyers with you. Is that same logic that we were talking about a few seconds before the program came on? All of them from our enslavement, all of them continue to benefit from our destruction. We get lost into this individual few bad apples thing. These folks aren't having conversations on the phone about how to destroy us. They know, they understand the concept of enemy. And of course, if we as African people were one and we understood the concept of enemy, the way we deal with them would be very similar. Would be very similar. Whether we lived in California, DC, England, wherever we were at, we would deal with them very differently if we understood. They understand that. I don't care how much, you know, they had to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, so to lie. You know, they understand that they are one.
And the liberal whites, of course, very much a part of that.
Very much.
And that's what we don't, we like, oh yeah, well, the rest of them are. No, it's all of them. But definitely want to take a moment. Our people are getting caught up in the Black Lives Matter movement. So we need to be clear about that. So yes, Black people protested, those who want to protest when our Black people are being killed by the police or whatever is happening to us is a good thing. But we are not knowledgeable in general about the Black Lives Matter movement, which is founded by lesbians whose agenda does not include Black men, that, you know, they're not even important. So what happens is when we're protesting because we're upset about Black men dying, but we're helping to promote Black Lives Matter, who are receiving all this money, this organization receiving all this money, funding from these wealthy Euros. Anytime white people are funding us in a large way, you know, at minimum. So they funded the NAACP, you know, part of the civil rights movement. So it's basically that. Or in this case, it's worse because at least Blacks during the civil rights movement were fighting for the rights of Black men, women, and children and family, versus the Black Lives Matter movement is going to use Black people who are concerned about all of us to push their agenda as the part of the LBGQT, whatever, as they say, the alphabet soup movement. So we need to be aware of that too. So even when we find the courage to fight and we think that we're doing something good, we still, not only we get used by whites, but we're being used by our own people, you know, different version of the same story. So we need to be aware of that as well.
Agree wholeheartedly. I just wanted to take a moment since I have y'all here and read something from my favorite book. Okay. On page 34. Strictly speaking, an African nationalist enemy are any person living, dead, or yet to be born who in any way did or is but will prevent African people from being liberated, empowered, and sovereign. It's not complicated. Anyone who thinks, says, or does anything against our people, or who is a friend of our enemies, is our enemy. I don't know how many times I read this on
That's
this
pretty
program
good,
and reflected on it in my lifetime, just as a constant reminder. We can be, hard charging about some things and then catch a blind spot. As we were speaking about earlier, one of those nerves and that point of focus. No Negroes, no homos, no Euros. You will see who's amongst you. No matter what they say, when one of those buttons are pressed, that response to it will come out. But how can you? How can you? And if you ignore that, you've lost everything. That will be the one to come to you and destroy everything you're building. That one. Or those ones, because they're rolling packs.
Yes.
They're rolling packs.
Yeah.
They're rolling packs. So I wanted to ask about African social theory as it relates to what we're doing and where we're moving towards this building of a nation. People are organized as they are socialized, as you know, from teaching young people, and in turn teaching their whole village, their family. So, what are some of the points of focus for us in regards to African-centered social theory and African thought that we should be paying attention to?
Well, I look at it, the first thought that always comes to my mind is sort of a micro approach. So many of us get locked into and lost in the idea of having to solve this for everybody. The position that we're in right now, that's extremely problematic, and it's been used against us for a while because that allows enemies to see what we're doing. Large numbers are going to reveal. Plus, you're always going to have somebody in there who doesn't know they're African. But we in talking about social theory, to me, I almost want to say social psychological theory, because you're talking about everything from individuals to small groups. You're talking about us getting our act together individually first, which is a decades-long process. But the good thing about that process, if you are around people who are working in the same direction or who see the power in what you're doing, it allows them to see you trying to attain something, trying to become a particular type of person, trying to become a particular type of warrior. At that level, also, you have to create, you're talking about the socialization process in the children. You have to provide those institutions, Bobby Wright talked about, you have to provide those institutions that will allow these young folks, these children, these warriors in training to become warriors, to come to know who they are. So there needs to be an African-centered institution of education, whether it's homeschooling, small school of medium size. We really don't need any large schools. Negroes get excited about the idea of large schools. We need to return to the idea of the communiversity, where we're not looking at credentials. We're looking at proven experience. We're looking at people who have done the work, who know that they're African, because all of us can teach. People certified, that doesn't mean that you can. I know some PhDs who are idiots. Okay, so it's anybody can teach, but we need to set up those situations. Those of us who can need to set up the situations where these people's voice can get to the young folk. There needs to be, African-centered institution, African-centered, not conscious, because we know that game. African-centered institution on every block, as far as I'm concerned. You got a 10 square block of African people. Don't need to be 10 schools, and that still won't be enough.
No, I was deferring you that as the sociologist.
Okay, we have to be very clear on this starts at the individual level, and that to me, the main part of the issue for us is one of character. We have bought the European idea of being human even of being a warrior, if you will, and it doesn't fit anything that's African in terms of our tradition. We're still following their way in terms of character. We're aware of we've done the reading, maybe we looked into Kemet, we looked at other African traditions, but we don't act on it. We still follow the European way, which is taking every oracle, every principle of Ma'at, flipped it on its head and glorified that. So before we can teach anybody else, before we can be African, before we can center ourselves, before we can assist in centering those around us, before we can create centered institutions of education from the womb to the tomb, as they say, before that can be done, we need to get our act together. All of us have work to do. I still have work to do on me. But the children should see a process of progress. And they should see a process of progress that moves us closer to being African. From Asa Hilliard, from Mama Marimba, you hear from Amos Wilson, you hear from all of our scholars that you either are African or you're not. And then that's not about you not being African. You don't exist. Okay? You're not worth the air that you breathe. So that needs to be the process that we are about in terms of a social theory, which isn't just a theory, it is a process of being. Because our definition of theory is different than theirs. If there's no action involved in it, then it's not a theory, it's just a bunch of words that don't mean anything, just somebody looking cute, I guess. Needs to be applied. Being African needs to be applied. If we're not applying it, then we can't call ourselves warriors. You good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, wanted to speak about for the last few minutes this upcoming conference. Y'all both are involved in two, epic events that are coming up. One being African Independence Day 2027
Yes.
as keynote speaker,
Yeah.
and also
About
involved
that.
in 100 Years of Whirlwind series. What does that feel like for y'all? And what are some of the things that y'all going to bring to these particular spaces?
Well, of course, the theme for African Independence Day celebration, our culture is our immune system, quote from Mama Marimba Ani. So definitely, I guess that's a very appropriate theme, just in general, because of course she was talking about this long before the COVID-19 virus, but because we've been dealing with the Urugu virus 500 years. So definitely, an apropos topic, whereas we will be offering specific suggestions in terms of our culture, and I'm planning to look at women, things specifically for the women, and Baba's looking at the brothers.
I am.
That's what we said. So we wouldn't be saying the same thing. We kind of divided it up.
Okay.
But what about us in terms of the whirlwind?
Oh, I'm excited. I don't think I've smiled this much online in like years, because the idea that this is oh man, that you got all of these like minds in terms of a vision of African sovereignty is incredible. It's not simply an event. It should be a turning point in the lives of so many people that you have all actually doing work. I don't know anyone who's involved who's not actually doing something for us. So these are examples of what it means to be warriors. So to be a part of this, to be able to make a teeny tiny contribution to this, to me, this has made my day, week, month, year. Because this is, and I know what's involved in. No, I've heard, I've seen what's involved in organizing something like that, and putting together the interviews for this, in arranging the schedules of people, of being, you know, there at other people's beck and call to make both of these things happen. That's an incredible amount of work, you know, that's being put into this. And I can't see anything coming out of this negative. I can't see anything except for something phenomenal coming out of this. It reminds me of a, or I guess I should say reminds me of something, but it's the, you have like singular events in our story that changed the thinking of a lot of African people. The Haitian Revolution, that was a singular event that did massive amounts of changes in the ways that it set in line Nat Turner's, it set in line process, set in all of these, you know, revolutions. One, you know, that single event, even though it involved a lot of people, like this is going to involve a lot of people. It involved a lot of people. There was no compromise. I mean, you had some actors in there who were kind of diluted, and then you had the ones that followed up, Dessalines and other folks who said, you know, no, we're not playing that. They got to go. You know, the what came out of that, you know, we have to make sure this time that it doesn't just start to fizzle over time. Of course, that's the responsibility of the folks who are there, because nothing's going to change here. Nothing's going to change. I can't imagine anything changing with the people who are coming to speak. You know, oh, well, I spoke and now I can go and retire. I don't think anything's going to change to them. So the tell anything about how both of these events, which I really don't see as separate, both of these events occur, what changes as a result of them will tell us, you know, whether this work was good or not.
And what's also beautiful, there are additional events going on in August with similar energy. So it's like this is a month for us to really channel our warrior energy, plan, work together. So even though they have us physically separated, that they can't disconnect our African pull to each other. And I see this as, I think, a lot of beautiful things. I think the events themselves will be beautiful. The timing, 2020 is a memorable year, just 2020, and we'll remember it for the chaos that Urugu is up to. But then at the same time, it can be remembered as a year that we came together and celebrated our Garvey and the Haitian Revolution, all those important events and people in this month, but kind of something to reinvigorate us that we need, because people are getting down and drained and depressed. No, we're not having it. You know, we're going strong. So I just see wonderful things resulting from these events.
Jumpstart that whirlwind.
Yeah.
Start that hurricane.
Well,
you know,
keep it moving.
You gotta warm up the water a little bit so that hurricane can get a little stronger, move a little faster, hit a little harder. You know.
Nana Garvey said it.
And I'm hoping that some of I've said this with other things in terms of visibility. I'm assuming that there are going to be a lot of young folks who nobody knows who they are, nobody knows what they're doing, but they'll get additional energy from this to do the work that they're already doing, way, way, way underneath the radar.
And inspire others.
And inspire others, absolutely.
Of whatever age.
At whatever age, even the youngest, going down to 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on who their parents are, depending upon who the responsible adults are.
And hey, we old heads too.
Yeah.
Who've kind of been so busy, caught up in the matrix, might have a moment to refocus.
I think that was one of the largest takeaways from this separation time. I believe, my ancestral lineage, as many of us, gave us this point of focus as a blessing. And even for those who transition, they transition in honor. Dr. Afrika transitioned in honor in this particular time. You know, you would think about the person who gave us holistic health, you know, would be most active in this particular, especially with a lot of these maladies that are befalling people. But if we look at a weed as planters, as farmers, as architecturalists, you know, when dealing with agriculture, a weed is present. You know, so in order for that crop to come topsoil, and the weed is there fully grown, the weed test is that seed to see if that seed is worthy to bear fruit. So the blessing of that weed right there is a testimony to the strength of the seed that is there. So seeding in the minds of African people, and with that renewed understanding, we know that the trials and the tests are blessed. You know, what do you do after? You know, they can catch you while you're having a bountiful harvest, while you're feasting, because your defenses are down. You know, are you taking up in the feast? But you remember that you have to go back to continue that work right, you know, right after. So a point of refocus. You know, Baba, you talked about the art of retreat. We only retreat to rearm, refocus, and back. The proof is Asada, you know. So they thought when they had grabbed Asada that they got her, you know, the retreat, you know, that fine art of retreat and not defeat. And you made a very good distinction in between the two, to come back and to return and say, I got you, you know.
Yeah.
So with this kind of focus, with that point in mind, you know, this is where our goals are in life. So if you don't see us, that doesn't mean you don't see us. We're coming back, you know. We're coming back, and you don't want to see us when you come back. Just like hurricanes come every season, they return stronger than the year before, you know. So where in the mind lies, you know, for our people and our point of focus moving forward. You know, it should be a moment of reflection, but a stronger return. Stronger return, you know, because what's at stake? Everything, you know, everything.
Absolutely everything.
You know, and that's, to me, that's a perfect analogy with the hurricane. Of course, it's not a new analogy. That's a perfect analogy. And you said something that, you know, I've been talking to the students for years about when you have a little time under your belt and you've seen things happen. When I was a child, you might hear about one hurricane a year. You know, and it does, you know, damage, but you might hear about, now you have hurricane seasons, and the seasons are becoming less and less distinct. So, and not only are they becoming, you're getting more, but they're getting stronger. You know, we can call that a sign of the times. Okay, so nature knows what it's doing. What are we waiting for?
Definitely. So final thoughts as we wrap, because I definitely want to stay true to the time, and we're right there. Final thoughts, and also how people can support Akoben House, Akoben Institute, and the institution that you built, you know, with the community's help over this last 21 years or so.
Oh, well, definitely people can support our African Center homeschool program. We're about to start the 22nd year. Donations can be sent to our PayPal account, and that's with my email address, Yaa Baruti at yahoo.com, and that's YAAB as in black, ARUTI at yahoo.com, or our Cash App account, and that tag is $YAAM B as in black, ARUTI, and that's Yaa Baruti. Closing, did you? We invite everybody, look forward to seeing.
Yes, everybody needs to be there. And if you know, tell somebody. Don't tell idiots, but tell somebody who has the potential to learn, who wants to learn, who wants to be there, who wants to understand, because we're not going to be playing. This is very serious. This isn't entertainment. Again, I don't know anybody here who in entertainment. They used to say edutainment, but we're here to do this work. So folks need to be there. Young folks need to be there. Younger folks need to be there. Old folks need to be there. We all need to be there. Turn this into an event that will be remembered for all time.
Absolutely. And do know it's a Pan-African event. So we have people throughout the diaspora and the motherland participating. So this is phenomenal to have this major Pan-African event. And people, you have options, different days going on, different events. So we shouldn't let the month of August go by and not participate in this major nation building. And you have lots of choices and support as many as possible.
Absolutely. And we love you as well, Brother Bomani.
Absolutely. Now see Brother Alias put up a comment. Yes, give thanks. I'm looking forward to me on August 15th, 10 to 11:30 a.m.
Well, he didn't put up anything about me. I mean,
oh, well, there you are. Liver. You know, ladies first. And Baba Baruti is the keynote speaker on the 16th, August, 7 to 8:30 p.m. And definitely, we do hope you join.
Absolutely, join us.
And give thanks, Brother Alias, because that was important information. We definitely want to share. Oh, good. And so, Brother Knowledge, your program will be the African Independence.
I'm going to be here helping facilitate African Independence Day celebration 2020 this Saturday, and also being a part of this discussion. I'm going to deal with African insurrection music versus hip hop. So that's going to be very, very, very interesting from my perspective, just bringing in a point of focus in regards to what AIM is and relating it to basic rifle marksmanship and advanced rifle marksmanship, the fundamentals that are there. So the same aim that's necessary fundamentally to shoot a rifle, you're looking at your message in the same manner. So from everything to breathing, aiming, trigger squeeze, same point of aim, same sight picture. This is where your focus should be as an African liberator, and moving in that same kind of direction. So the propaganda in the bullet has the same effect. So both of y'all have taught us, where's your African-centered program and African-centered purpose? That requires aim. That requires a point of focus. That requires a certain type of sight picture for you to be renewed. Baba Kala said, aim, send a mass. You understand what I'm saying? So, where are we with our message? Where are we with our methodology? Where are we in our training regimens to actually put this into focus, into view, to eliminate all of our enemies? So everything that's at our disposal is a weapon of opportunity, as we are taught. So, these are some of the things that I'm going to bring in regards as a caveat to the conversation, and a point of differentiation between whatever the stuff is out here that Urugu has mass operated versus an African insurrection approach to a renewed spirit, resistance, and elimination. So, it's going to be interesting. I hope.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
We are looking forward to it. Absolutely.
Well, I'm definitely thankful, Madasi, for both of your times. Our living ancestors coming, blessing this, stage here and showing some of that African love that only y'all can show to us here in this fashion. And we definitely look forward to your presentations and the work and getting all the rest of these books. I think I have everyone except two. The last two, I think, Teach Our Own. To educate people, and what was the last one?
Prayers of gratitude.
Oh yeah, but
prayers of gratitude. Yes.
Yeah, now you're missing three because one just came out. Common Sense Security.
Common Sense Security. Yes. Okay, so I'm missing three.
That's brand spanking.
It's hard to keep up with Brother Baruti.
Well, the good thing about it is I will be in Atlanta in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I'm going to get those books.
Okay.
I will not be divested of those 3 books anymore.
Great. Fantastic.
But we definitely appreciate your inviting us, giving us a platform to talk about these wonderful events. Give thanks.
All right, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening.
All right.
You as well. A BB for Hodier.
All right, family. So in about an hour and 12 minutes, we will be on with Brooklyn's own Thorough Black Talk's own Keisha Hopkins Forrester. Our warrior sister will be in the building, and that's going to be another amazing conversation. Thankful to the Barutis, Baba and Mama Yaa, for coming through and making it plain. So if y'all don't have y'all tickets by now, y'all slipping and tripping. You know, you see what's on the horizon, and it only goes up from here. So www.dtc1.org to get your tickets. D as in David Walker, T as in Thomas Sankara, and C as in Colin Ferguson or Charlie Murphy. You understand what I'm saying? Whatever. And get one as one God, one aim, one destiny, one purpose, one mission, one objective. And we're going to continue to go. So check us out, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're on live here at Do the Knowledge Radio, spotlighting these presenters that is involved in this August work of Black August commemoration in conjunction with 100 years in the Whirlwind. So see you in about an hour. Peace.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. That in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? No more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a. Let's get back to the
motive is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.